Hello, the topic of today's lesson is again word problems about interest, sales tax, and discount. Except these problems will be slightly different. I call them reverse percentage problems. And I will explain what I mean in a few minutes, but they all follow a similar pattern. So let's read the first problem. Mindy paid $88 for a coffee maker, inclusive of sales tax. This wording is important, which means when she came to the register, at the end she paid $88, which already includes sales tax. The sales tax is 10%. What is the price of the coffee maker without the sales tax? Or in other words, what is the list price, right? When you come to the store, you see the price on the sticker called list price. Of course, when you go to the register, sales tax is added on. So we do know that Mindy paid $88 after the sales tax was applied. And the sales tax was 10%. Here is how I show all my students to set up this problem. Step 1, let's write down what is given. Well, what is given? We know that $88 is the cost, final cost of the coffee maker, including the sales tax. Is that the original cost? No, this price, $88, already includes original plus 10%, which I'm just going to write that this is 110%. Let me just make it slightly smaller here. 110%, because this included the sales tax. What is the price excluding the sales tax? So they're asking us to find the price, I'm going to label it X, of the original, which was 100%, My friends, we have ourselves two ratios tied together. We call it a proportion. I will not go into proportions too much, but just pointing it out that this is a proportion. $88 is 110%. That's what's given. What do we need to find? We need to find the original price, 100%. Another way for me to show you, we will of course solve this problem. Let's solve it. Let's solve for X. One of the most important steps, the first step, you have to find the 1%. So first, let me put a box around it because that is important setup. Why is my box not coming out nicely? Sure, this is an important setup. So let's find 100%. The way to do it is to first find 1%. How do we find 1%? Well, if $88 is 110%, to find 1% that means we have to divide by 110. Look, from 110, divide by 110. Therefore, here, what we do to the left, we must do to the right. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is simply, if $88 is 110%, therefore 1% is 88 divided by 110. So let's go for it. We can divide the top and the bottom by 11. That's your common ratio, common factor. And we have 8/10 or 0.8. So 1% is actually $0.8 or 80 cents. Now that we know 1%, can we figure out the 100%? Absolutely. Let's label this step 1. Step 2 is, let me erase this and clean it up a little bit, like this. Let me erase this. Step 2, 80 cents times 100% gives you $80. Now, $80 is the list price of the coffee maker before Mindy paid 10% tax on it. Let's solve a different problem. Francisco, let's make it a little bit larger. Francisco gets a monthly allowance from his mother. This month, his mother increased his allowance allowance, it gave him $75, which is 25% more than his previous allowance. How much allowance did he receive before? My friends, again, we have a before and after pattern. Sometime earlier, Francisco was getting allowance. Let's label it X dollars. We don't know how much it is, but we do know after his mom gave him a 25% raise, he now receives $75 from her. So what is given? We know that $75 after the 25% increase is actually 125%. When before his original allowance was the benchmark. Typically the benchmark is 100%. How do we find the allowance he received before? Well, let's again come up with a setup of the problem. $75 is 125%. That already includes the 25% raise. Therefore, we are looking for the original amount, which was 100%. Step 1, my friends, always find 1% first. How would we calculate 1%? Well, if $75 is 125%, to find 1%, we have to divide 75 into 125 equal parts, which is 75 divided by 125. We can simplify, right? Divide by 25, which gives us 3/5, and then we can use it. So now we found, and 3/5 is 0.6. Okay, $0.6. Therefore, how can we find 100%? Well, if we know 1%, right? If we do know 1%, which is very important realization in these problems, we can find 100%. $0.6 times 100 equals $60. And therefore, Francisco used to receive $60 every month. My friends, I call these problems before and after. I also call them, sometimes you will hear teachers call them reverse percentage problems. Why are they called reverse percentage problems? Because you do not know what was there before, but you do know what happened after. And they're asking you to find the original quantity. The key is to set up the problem first, understand what is given, and then calculate 1%. Once you know 1%, you can figure out any percentage. I hope this helps.